Hello again, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of On the Range Podcast special live lunch break conversation on this Friday, March 7th. As always, I am joined with my co-host and friend, Rick Hogg from Warhog Tactical, and I am Mark Kelly from Kelly Defense. How's it going, buddy?
Man, Mark, I'll be doing better once you hand me that mayonnaise so I can put a little here on my sandwich, Brother, I'm doing great, man. Life is good. If you're got issues, dramas, figure out how to fix them, figure out how to become that 1% better every day. But really just want to thank you, the hardworking American who's on their lunch break, at least for the Eastern Standard Time, for giving us a little bit of your time to tune in. Might have a couple cat video things going on for some chuckles. Who knows what's going on, but just a little different, format to bring you guys a little bit of information, but just can't thank you enough for giving us your time to tune in, your most precious commodity. So appreciate it, guys. Don't forget, once you're done watching the show, consuming it here, swing by warhog.com, kellydefense.com, and On the Range podcast. Sign up for those newsletters. Trust me, we'll not inundate you with a bunch. I'm actually behind. I need to get one sent out here. And then since you're on those sites, you might as well just sign up for the crew membership. It's free, man. So be with like-minded international people looking to become 1% better every single day. It's just a great group. And oh, by the way, coming up here shortly, North Carolina Crew Members Range Day. So it'll be a good one. So
yeah,
buddy.
Yeah, super looking forward to the range day. That was a good time last year. We got some videos and stuff up on the crew members page. Wherever you are, thank you for making this part of your day today. Hope you're having a good work day and you're on your lunch break. If you're at your computer, if you're, you're looking at your phone, whatever, just go ahead and pull this up. We are on the YouTubes at ontherangepodcast.com, and we're also on X at On the Range Cast. Make sure you check us out. And like Rick said, leave a like, subscribe, a follow, and a comment. It really does help. But we thought we'd do this. I think we should probably do this once a week. It's a lot of fun. Allow people to get on the chat, comment on what we're talking about. And this is pretty much a free-for-all. We'll talk for anything. And, we came up with something in pre-production. If you are way to the left on a lot of these issues and you don't like anything that Donald Trump is talking about or implementing, why don't you go ahead and join the show? We would love to have you. We, no ambushes here, not at all. We're just going to go ahead and have a good, pleasant conversation. Honestly, Rick, we talked about this. I'd like to see what the end state is and what the thought process is on some of the things that make total sense to us. But that's why you have conversations, because that could be totally flipped.
100%. A prime example, the other night when President Trump was having a speech, the Dems all wore pink in support of women's rights.
Right.
But here's the thing. When you look at their record, they did not vote anything pro-women. They want to keep men in women's sports. They turned down the Laken Riley Act. I mean, it's just when you look at these people, I'm just curious. Tell me why they would not stand for a 13-year-old that has survived 6 years with brain cancer. Why would they not stand for a widow of a law enforcement officer that was killed in the line of duty? I mean, the list goes on. We repatriated one of our own back from Russia. I mean, the list goes on of some amazing Americans that were there, and they were stuck in their seats with their little stupid signs. Hey, man, if you got something, put it in the comments. I'd love to hear what your opinion or why they're doing what they're doing. But it doesn't make sense. You're saying one thing, but your actions are saying something completely different.
Yeah. And it boggles the mind if you don't understand where the thought process is. That's why we want to have those conversations. Mm-hmm. I was listening to Joe Manchin on, I think it was on CNN. And that type of Democrat is what really we grew up with, to be honest with you, the Bill Clinton era type stuff. And it sounds a whole lot different than it is now. Now, that makes me maybe sound old, but I can't wrap my head around. This is the House of Representatives, that chamber. Mm-hmm. You're in there, that beautiful room. Some of us have been lucky enough to step foot in there and see it. Mm-hmm. And acting the way they did. And there's nothing wrong with protest. There's nothing wrong with protest. But like you said, stories of human triumph, stories of tragedy and overcoming and still moving forward.
Yeah.
Stories of repatriation of people who are wrongfully held in other countries. If you can't get behind that, if you cannot stand up behind that and for that, I don't know what you can stand for. The only thing they clapped for was Ukraine. Doesn't make any sense. Those folks are in the same room as you.
It does make sense, because when you look at most of those Dems, they got some crazy kickbacks. But I got to hit this point. You brought up Bill Clinton. I'm glad you did. Here's the thing. So right now, everyone's, I'm going to say everyone. Let me rephrase. The Dems are after Trump for firing federal employees. Bill Clinton fired almost 500,000. Now you got to think the 79 or 75 or 79,000 that took the deal, right? They turned in their letter of resignation, got their severance pay, and off they go. Bill Clinton deported 12 million illegals. Trump's only sitting at 2. He still has a way to go, but I don't get the hypocrisy of the Democratic Party when you look at what's going on. They want to sit there and badmouth Doge. Doge is a Obama executive order, right? All he did was just change I'm going to say change the verbiage. He kept the verbiage the same. He just put in the acronym Doge, right? So I don't understand. And you bring up a great point. I'd love to have a conversation. Tell me where you're coming from. Tell me what is so bad, what is so evil, what is all this? Because when you look at that party, all they're doing is just fanning the flames of hate. They're still causing divisions. I mean, I've said this time and time again. I personally think the two parties should just go away, right? It's not doing anything for America except further dividing. And then from there, make your own decisions. Hey, cast your ballot. You have to figure out some way how you're going to do, your election style process. But at the end of the day, man, this, we call it 3-party because the independents, but they really don't have there's actually more. I think there's a Green Party and there's all these other little factions, right? But at the end of the day, it's just straight division. You're telling me that every single Democrat, all those individuals think it's okay for men to go play in lady sports. I find it hard to believe. Now, what dirt do they have on them? What blackmail, for lack of better terms? Hey, you either tote the party line or you're out. Well, we've seen a couple Dems jump ship. And I just think the writing's on the wall. They need to do something to become more American and quit causing the division that they're causing within this country.
Yeah. You bring up a great point, but hey, before we go any further, I think, Rick just mentioned it. If you are interested in being a guest and bring those left-leaning ideas that we're just missing, apparently we're just missing the thought process and the understanding of how the Democratic Party would be running in this direction. To me, it seems rudderless, but I don't know. It'll come to set us straight. We'll have a good, pleasant conversation. Would love to have someone like that on as a guest, whether you're an influencer or you know somebody. But be our guest at ontherangepodcast.com. Send us an email, and we will make it happen. We will make it happen, absolutely. But Trump didn't do them any favors, right? He didn't do them any favors at all. He knew exactly what he was going to do. He was going to have stories, accomplishments, things that are good for America, things that are good American stories of Americans in this the room in the chamber that day. And he knew they weren't going to stand up. He even gave them the opportunity by alluding to what was going to happen. Yeah. And he laid it out. Hey, no matter what I do, folks, they're not going to stand. They're not going to clap. And then he's going to lay out what he's done. It was brilliant. It was a brilliant strategy, and they fell right into it.
But here's the beauty with Trump. yes, he had the teleprompter to kind of keep him on there. But some of the jabs he threw out there, that was off the cuff, man. He straight out called out Pocahontas. I mean, so just think about it. For most people, hey man, that teleprompter's your life. You're going to read off of that. You're not going to throw the thought process up, whatever it is you're doing, right? Man, he's out there still, bam, jamming stuff out there. Absolutely just amazing show. But the question of the hour, they're all mad at him for what? I don't know. I can't figure it out. Like, I'm seeing great stuff. Now, with Ukraine, yeah, their cash cow again is gonna dry up. Like all these little things are going, oh, I can't believe USAID, he's shutting that down. Well, yeah, because it's your cash cow, right? That's my tax dollars that you're stealing, which, oh, by the way, I got my return back from the CPA and yeah, Doge, clean them out, right? I don't want to pay them
right.
a dime.
Yeah.
I hate, dude, I absolutely loathe. But here's the crazy part. They also talk about this constitutional crisis we're in. But you know what? I agree. Let's freaking repeal that 16th. Let's get that thing gone. That's a constitutional crisis. Why am I paying all this money to the federal government when we don't have to? And I hope that changes. I hope the 16th goes away. And if you look at it, just the verbiage itself is dirty in itself. Refer to my little book here as we're chatting at lunch. I like to bring my reading material sometimes. The key part with the 16th is listen to the words of the Constitution. The Congress, millionaires. How do they do that? Interesting. We'll circle back on that. Shall have the power to lay and collect taxes on income from whatever source derived, without appointment, among the several states, and without regard to any census.
Yeah.
Dude, that sounds unconstitutional to me, right? That's a constitutional crisis. Why aren't we pulling that thing out?
Well, that's why they made it a part of the Constitution, because they know it was unconstitutional up to that point.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the only reason why they could do it.
Congress shall. Really? No. They no way, dude. I don't
they
trust
them. They left out a key phrase there.
Yeah.
We the people.
Dude, don't get me started on that one.
Yeah.
But it's amazing you've got these politicians up there. They don't own any businesses. So you look at Trump. Trump's rolling in as a billionaire. Yeah, because he's got Trump Enterprises. I mean, he has the businesses to provide. Let's look at AOC, for example. Love her, right? Rags to riches stories. Goes from being a waitress, picks up a job in Congress, $175,000 a year. Oh, girl's worth $20 million now.
Yeah.
How does that happen? You have to scratch your head. And if you can't smell corruption, then I don't know. I'd love to sit there and go, AOC, I need some let's get her on the show. I need some financial advice. How did you pull that one off? You had $20K net value, and now you're a $20 million, millionaire.
Yeah.
I need to know.
Dude, if that's legit, if that's legit, she could be a finance bro and sell her book and her go around and do classes and
dude, I mean,
buy my program. Yep.
That's a rags to riches, and she'll be making more money, right?
Oh, she'll be killing it.
Hey, come to my online class.
Mm-hmm.
Although I guess chapter 1 would be insider trading, and then you're hooking and crooking and can't give you any of the tips. But, dude, I am tired personally of the Democratic Party. It is so un-American. It's absolutely pathetic. So,
I really don't know how they recover anytime soon until they have somebody that can lead and have a message, because, we've talked about this multiple times. And before we go any further, hey, I hope you guys, Rick and I really want you to have a fantastic lunch break. Hope this is bringing a little bit of fun information. We're going to have some fun stuff coming up.
Oh, yeah.
But we really, really appreciate all you out there working and getting after it every day. We really appreciate it. Make sure you like and subscribe if you like this content, and try the crew, like you said. But until they find somebody, Rick, and the Democratic side of the House, to show them what direction they need to go to, because we've had this criticism of them, not necessarily that there's anything to disagree with them, because they haven't said what their policy is. They haven't said what they're doing.
Yeah.
They can complain about what Trump's doing all they want. And you know what? Why don't you present something that has 70-30 in there and maybe be a part of the conversation?
Yeah.
They're not doing anything like that.
No. So it's classic business 101. If you look at what Trump is doing, he's running the country like a business. So here's the thing. What's your counter? So if you disagree with the policies, if you don't like what he's doing, what's your counter to it? And I have no idea. Short of, Pocahontas saying Musk is stealing your money and giving it to the billionaires. Well,
right.
Pretty much you look at, a good section of the billionaires, they're all left leaning anyway.
Right.
They ain't, Oprah's a prime example. Dude, she used to love Trump. Now she threw him to the freaking wolves, right? She don't care. So I just say all that to go, I'm confused. And then the Americans that are on that way, because again, you got to be careful of the traps they're falling for you. Again, it's all fear mongering. No different than the China virus. Oh yeah, Trump was right, huh? Shocking. But oh yeah, they're looking at your personal tax records. They're looking at this, dude. All they did was, number one, look at efficiency of the networks running, and then go, wow, we've got Americans, 110 plus. How does that happen?
Yeah.
So somewhere in the system, now I think they were honest and said, hey, we're not sure if everyone's collecting checks, but we have these people in the system, right? So there'll be some more digging and deep diving. Dude, dig through it. I don't care. And then they're like, med records. Oh, what med records does the federal government have? Right? I don't. There's so much things that they put out there that does not make sense. So your tax stuff, yeah, hey, I got it. Are they actually going through your taxes, or are they just finding out, hey man, what's the IRS doing? So it's just all fear mongering. So I would just tell my fellow Americans this. If you think if you're in that line with the Dems, just take a hard step back. And if you are, cool. When that hopefully $5,000 refund check, comes, turn it back. I'll take it. Right? If you're going to complain about, oh man, they're ripping us off, they're giving to the billionaire buddies.
Yeah.
They threw out, hey man, we're looking to do a $5,000 refund. Dude, I'll take it. Right?
Yeah. I mean, I hope they can pay down that debt, man. That's what I really like to see. I'd like to see that happen through, the savings and through some trimming of the fat. And, and here's the thing too. If anyone thinks that, making cuts and making big change isn't going to hurt and not be difficult, then they've never had to make hard decisions. They really haven't, because the empathy that we have for all those folks that are affected by that directly, by being laid off or having to change jobs, whatever, we don't minimize that at all. We don't minimize that at all. But at the same time, we can, Trump's he's going after this, he's going after that. Look, those things are not going to exist. The country will go bankrupt eventually. It'll be a point where the only thing we're doing is paying our debt. We're not spending any more money on anything other than paying our debt. That's not sustainable.
Yeah.
Just not sustainable. And it won't exist, not because someone got rid of it, because they didn't fix it when they had the time and the chance. Because I think right now, what we're paying in bills each year is equivalent to what we're paying on defense.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's just Social Security. It might just be Social Security. It's a huge, huge burden when it comes to the tax revenue.
Right. But let's be an honest broker. The federal government is the only entity that year after year can run the books so far in the red and still be going.
Right.
Dude, I might be able to get a year, maybe 2, maybe 3, depending how far in the red we're going. But dude, there comes a point where it's like, this is a failed endeavor.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't you look at, that's the problem with these cats is you don't have business-minded people. And when you have business-minded people up there, like Trump, dude, he knows how to run a business. And all the other entrepreneurs out there are like, yeah, dude, cut the fat. But here's the thing, man. Clinton dumped almost 500,000 federal employees.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So at some point, it would be a curious thing to look at. Hey, he dumped the number. At what point did these numbers start going? Now, here's the thing. I'm not opposed to bringing on more federal employees in the aspects of this where it makes sense. Prime example, the VA. The VA does not have enough services to support the individuals they're trying to support. Would it make sense to go, we might need to bump the VA 10, 20, 30,000 people? I don't know, right? Because I don't have the backside to their numbers, what's going on. But there's nothing worse than a veteran, somebody that had served this country, needing to get some type of medical care, and they're waiting months, sometimes years for things to happen. Unacceptable. Yeah. Unacceptable. Yeah. So, and we talked about this, earlier this morning. Dude, what is the Department of Education doing for this country? Right? Because if you think about it, everything's, dictated by the states. And you go, well, Rick, they're putting out guidance. Are they? Because let's think about it. I will use homeschool as a prime example. Each state has different rules on that. How that needs to be executed, what they need to do, the processes in place. We're going, well, that's not part of education. I think it's a higher education, personally. As one that has homeschooled our children late, I wish we had started it earlier, right? But let somebody tell me in the comments, what is the Department of Education doing? I don't know. So things like that. And I got it. People are going, oh, you're cutting their job. Dude, well, what are you doing? It's no different if you're out here at Warhog Tactical. Hey, you're at the Department of Education. Well, what are you doing to enhance education? If it's nothing, boom. So if I've got my subsect educators at the state level, what's the overall CAT doing? Because the states are dictating how they're going to run their education programs. So I don't know, man. I'm sure when, Doge has already started uncovering a bunch of stuff. And then you got Pocahontas and the rest of the Dems. Oh, they're stealing your money. Okay, it's not going into their pockets. It's going into the debt. It's going to remove the debt that people like you voted for crazy things.
Yeah. Well, I mean, most people who end up in financial crisis, typically, I would think the majority of the times it's probably not necessarily a revenue problem. It's a spending problem.
Mm-hmm.
And that's exactly what the federal government has become. And like you said, I don't know how they're going to reorganize the VA. I don't know if they are going to cut people and put them in different areas or give options to transfer to different programs. I don't know what they're going to do, but they need to fix that as well. They need to make that service more efficient, better. If there's any fraud, get rid of it. I mean, we all know that there's people taking advantage of that. I'm not going to say that, veterans aren't above that. I'm not going to say that at all, but it needs to be cleaned up and it needs to be gone through with a comb so that that service that they deserve is provided for sure. And it's going to be around.
Yeah. And here's the thing. Anytime you're touching anything medical, dude, there's fraud somewhere in there, or there's palms being greased, or, I go
100%.
back to my story. Dude, I was an inpatient at the VA for 6 weeks. part of my deal when I got, when I was in processing there is I said, no pills. Where's the first stop? Pain doc. Hey, you need to refill your script. What part of no pills don't you want? And listen to me, to my veterans out there, or to anybody that's dealing with healthcare providers, check it out. They work for you. You can fire them. Dude, I told that pain doc, you're fired. He looked at me like in shock. Pull him off my schedule. I don't need to go back and see him. You're not helping me. The old sleep doc. Hey, man, we're going to get you on some gabapentin and reset your clock. Dude, do you understand? I've got God knows how many freaking TBIs, right? I don't want your pills. Hey, doc, you're fired. By the time this thing was done, the staff I was supposed to have was greatly reduced because, in my opinion, they were incompetent. It's like, what part, if the individual's going, no pills, I don't want your pills, right? I said, I'll take your chicken bones, your holistic, I'll do whatever you want there. I don't want your damn pharmaceuticals. But what do? Because it's the easy press button, man. It's not medicine. So that would be what I think would be fantastic. And RFK Jr., if you're listening, he's a regular listener to the show.
Well, we know Trump. We know Trump is.
Yeah, we've seen it, right?
We've seen it. Proof.
But RFK, man, if you're listening, check this one out. Have a chat with the VA and get a holistic medicine avenue. How about them apples, huh? There's some food for thought.
Yeah, I'm really curious what RFK Jr. is going to do. I'm really curious.
Oh, God, he is probably, brother, I guarantee he is so inundated with so much crap. And it's like, where do you start?
I think he's going to probably try to get a couple big wins right away. So the ones that are obvious that everybody's going to get behind, I think you're going to see those changes right away.
Dude, our food's got to change. To me, that has to be
food and vaccines.
Yeah. Because, when you're looking at, I think 1 in 36 kids have autism.
Oh man.
What's the factor, right? How we're poisoning our own children. So that there, I mean, your next generation, you're screwing them. And it was kind of like we were talking, earlier this morning. We're talking about college. Dude, college is a scam. Say what you want. Dude, 4 years in school and now you've got a lifetime of debt. That's a great way to start your life.
Yeah, no job at the end of your degree.
No. Go down to the community college, figure out a trade that you like, something that interests you. Because anytime you're doing your passion, it's really not work. It's enjoyment, right? Do that. Dude, you want to make some scratch? Now granted, it's going to take you a little bit, to run your apprenticeship and work your way up. But dude, you put the time in, whether you're plumber, welder, electrician, HVAC, I mean, pick your poison, man. You can do it. Because you see all these college kids coming out and it's like, what are you doing? Flipping burgers at McDonald's because I need some money, right? It's embarrassing.
Well, with that debt too of the student loan, Trump had mentioned, and there was someone else, and I can't remember if it was his newly appointed Department of Education, but some of those tasks probably do belong in the states. I would say most of them. Mm-hmm. And then some of those loans and some of those other things that aren't going away, by the way.
Yep.
But they're going to be given to like the Treasury or someone like that, somewhere that is better adept to handling that. So I'm really looking forward to see some of these changes. And here's the thing. Let's try some stuff. Let's try some things. Let's do something different. I think it's an exciting time. Like I said, again, we're not going to minimize and we're going to we have empathy for those who are being affected by this. I totally get it. I don't like seeing it. Anybody who's a human being who cares about Americans do not want to see them struggle. This has to happen. It has to happen. But they've been talking about this for the last 50, 60 years. Ever since, well, actually, I would say really got hard and heavy right before Clinton balanced the budget. That's really when it happened, because he was doing the exact same thing like you pointed out earlier.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But
this has got to happen.
Nobody says nothing, dude, got to hit a couple comments here because they're absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, let's do it.
Brian, You want a 4-year degree? Join the military and take advantage of the programs while you train. Double skill sets. Run a bulldozer for the Army, and get a BS in engineering. Dude, genius, right? But let's think about it. That requires work.
Yeah.
How many cats are going to do that? And that's the sad part this day and age with our society, man. I mean, we just don't have the go-getters, with the exception of Laura, proud mom of a welder. Send me your info, man. Where's the weld shop at? Because hey, man, you never know. A good welder, man, for somebody that's dabbled in welding, let me tell you this, man, that is a skill set. And if you are a good welder, man, you can pretty much almost name your price, right? Because again, it's a super restricted trade where there's just not a whole bunch of welders out there. And again, they're gonna, the classic, hey, here's the job interview. Weld that, that, and that.
I'm a proud dad. My son-in-law is a welder and married to my daughter, and proud of all of them. They all work hard. All of our kids work hard. And I know yours do as well. There's people out there's opportunity out there. You just got to go out there and you got to take it sometimes. Great comments, by the way. A lot of good comments. Jump in on if you're listening, I know you missed it, but you can still leave us comment in the audio side of the house. But if you're watching, jump in here on the comments and tell us what you think. Let us know what you're having for lunch, where you're working. We'll give you a shout out. We're always like to recognize our listeners across the pond, and as well as those in the military, law enforcement, nurses, doctors out there, getting after it in the emergency services. Thank you for your sacrifices and your families. Tough stuff out there, and you're getting after it. So hope you're enjoying your lunch break with On the Range podcast. But Rick, it's Mike Rowe, and we're going to get into some other stuff, but Mike Rowe, he is great. He talks about the stuff you're talking about all the time.
Yeah.
And the opportunity of good. Now, it's hard work, but you should never, I say this to my kids all the time, never underestimate the value of a good day's work.
No.
It makes you feel good. Pat Mack points this out. He's like, oh, you got to stay busy when you retire. You got to no. You got to stay productive.
Yeah.
Very, words mean things. We talk about it all the time, and that's a very good point. A lot of good stuff out there you can do.
Brother, let me tell you this. I work harder now, right, than when I was in. Dude, I'm not going to lie, man. Being in the Army, that's easy. Running your own business, holy crap, dude. Right? And like, I totally screwed the pooch. Did I get my degree while I was in? I did. Why? For one reason. So if my kids were to say something to me, right, I was going to be that hypocritical dad. Nope. They can't go, well, you don't have one. Yes, I do. But I picked the wrong field, right? So versus going in, doing my security management stuff, I should have done something on the business side, right? Looking back. But I didn't have that vision, right? I was like, dude, just give me a piece of paper. Let's knock it out. Security management will be easy. That's kind of the line I'm in. Man, what a rookie mistake. So if you are going to take, advantage, and Brian kind of hit it up, man, if you're going to be the bulldozer driver, man, get that BS in engineering. Get something there. But I should have grabbed me a little more business education, because here's the thing, brother. It's learning 24/7. And then it's like, man, we got a beautiful website, yada, yada, yada. Dude, SEO is garbage. It's trash, right? So now we're trying to go back and readjust SEOs, and oh my God, it's like donk.
Yeah. There's always something.
There's always something.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. I love it. Right? It's yes, you can say it's work, but it's really not work. Because I pretty much say every day before I go to bed, hey man, that was a great Warhog day. Boom.
Yeah.
There you have it.
Again, if you guys and girls are on your lunch break, make sure if you're watching us on the Range podcast, YouTube and Facebook, or the X machine, we're going to pull up some X stuff. It's a lot of fun. But before we go on, we definitely got to talk about the crew memberships and the crew members. I know there's a couple of them in the comments. They're a blast. But if you're listening, we're watching, you got to go check it out. the viewers have the opportunity to see what the crew members do 5 minutes after work every Friday. It's a pretty, I'm digging the vibe.
Yeah.
I can totally see you and I walking in this joint and be like, oh, okay. All right. Yeah. This is an oldie but a goodie. I think I've seen this one before.
Yeah.
And one of our comments already said that this is from the soundtrack of Silence in the Lambs, I think.
Push the notion on the
yeah. Love it. Love it. Love it. So, yeah, go check out the X page, man. It's a lot of fun. On the Range Cast. But, there's a couple of things I saw on there today. Let me see. This is something that our good friend from Drinking Bros and Citizens Podcast, Dan Holloway, he reposted this from Christy for Change. And this is unbelievable. This here, and if you can read it, it looks like this is a natural gas invoice. It looks like the last bill, 205. Look at all the taxes. The actual cost of the gas was only about 25% of the total bill. So let me read. If you're not looking at this, let's read some of these off, Rick, and I want to get your comment on it.
It's not even 25%, Mark, because the bill's
205.
No. That was the pat.
Oh, no.
That was the last bill. The bill there is a 435.
You're right.
Right. So basically, their gas cost them, we'll just call it $60 for easy math, dude. You gotta love it at the bottom. Welcome to Canada. Tax. Although they did get a $1.99 credit. That was mighty.
Oh, that's nice of them.
Mighty kind.
Kind of like your tax return. That's why you never want to give them anything. Basic charge. We have a delivery charge. We have a storage and transportation charge. We have the cost of the gas.
I'm going to pause you first. I'm going to pause you for a second. Go back. Look at that. Look at that delivery charge.
Yeah.
Almost $200 tax.
Yeah.
Now, what we're not seeing, what's gas costing up there?
Well, there's kind of a breakdown. It says that it's only $2.23 per gallon. It looks like, right?
Yeah, but that's got to be. I'm guessing that's natural gas going to somebody's house.
Yeah, they come up and they fill your tank or whatever.
But the delivery,
yeah,
I don't think they've got. Oh, hang on.
$7.47 per gallon that's delivered. So they charge it per the gallon that you're delivering.
God bless, man. So anyway, it goes to show almost a $200 delivery charge.
Yeah.
What's the? We'll just put it in a friendly term. What's the cost of petrol?
Yeah.
I mean, that's savagery right there.
Oh, dude, big time savagery up there in Canada.
$377 in taxes on a $58 bill.
Yeah.
God bless, dude.
British Columbia carbon tax.
Oh,
that's $106. Clean energy levy. So there's someone voted for their levy. They got a tax on that. Biomethane credit. They had a credit. And then the GST, I guess that's the state tax, right?
Brother.
5%, bro.
I don't know.
5%.
I mean, at the end of the day, God bless. It's like people scratch their head. It's like, how do you live up there? I mean, that is absolutely just out of control. Out of control.
Wow.
So
Christy for Change, that's her X handle. Great post. We appreciate that. And Dan, I saw it from Dan Holloway's page. He reposted from Christy, but yeah, that's amazing. But getting through this Twitter stuff, it's a lot of fun, but a lot of things that I find very interesting. We like to repost, but very comical at the same time. Here's some breaking news for everybody. This is from Save America. The handle is Save America New. It's a breaking story. Howard Stern is demanding that all Trump supporters must stop listening to his radio show. And I said, well, nobody will get this message because they're not listening or watching. What happened to Howard Stern?
Brother, I don't know. I mean, think about it. Yes, you can have your opinion, but that's a bold statement. Hey, if you're a Trump supporter, don't tune in. Hey, man, here's the thing. If you're a Dem, tune in, please. Let's have a conversation, right? The whole part, again, that's their jab at censorship. right? Oh, you're gonna say, "Oh, don't listen to my stuff." Dude, if you don't like what I'm saying, still listen. You might learn something.
Yeah.
But why can't we have a conversation as Americans? And you hit the nail on the head. Dems, please enlighten me to your thought process. I know
Do
you
you
don't
think his
have one.
advertisers are good with that?
No, dude, dude. Okay, so let's pause for a second, right? Business 101. Why would you ever cut your throat? Because again, what's driving him is his numbers. So it would be like going, "Hey, man, if you're married with kids, don't tune into my show." Have you lost your mind? Right? Or hey, if you're married to kids, don't shop at my store.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, that's business suicide. I,
Mhm.
I don't, I, I don't know. These people, hey, Howard, love you, brother. Pack a bag, go to Canada. Let me know how that works out for you.
I
Because your
I
millions will be
honestly
gone probably
think
within the year.
I honestly think that the COVID absolutely destroyed his mind. I think it scared him so much that his mind is broken. He
Right.
was dude, he was the champion of the working man. He
Yeah.
was, having all kinds of guests and on
Yeah.
live TV and having the network turn off his stuff and
Yeah.
he was unbelievable.
But
Look, he's undoubtedly a great talent, and he definitely changed rock and roll radio,
mhm.
for everybody. But he's just absolutely lost his mind.
But Mark, you bring up a great point. And I got to pause you for this and I've got to do it inject. So you brought up a thing. Hey, man, that COVID time frame warped his mind.
Mm,
Did the fear mongering, because here's the bottom line. When all this stuff came out, I'm like, timeout. Does not compute, does not make sense. What you're telling me, I can't wrap my head around it. So if you have this deadly disease, but you want me to stay 6 feet, well, it's got a relatively very short lifespan, right? But then we want to start wearing masks. Well, what's that doing? Probably should be wearing a pro mask, right? How about that? Like nothing they were saying made sense to me. I am not a doctor by trade. I do have some NBC, so nuclear, chemical, biological training that the Army gave me, right? Maybe that instilled some common sense in me, but classic bioweapon, it's like, does not make sense, does not compute. All the fear that you're doing, oh, you got to do this, oh, you got to do that. Oh, dude, none of that crap made any sense. But it worked. They got the fear in the American people, right? Congratulations, Dem. Once again,
big time,
you got everyone afraid. Oh,
big
you're gonna
time.
die, dude. Give me a break, right?
Yeah, he
Um,
was he was so good, and
so
he just totally lost it.
a- and maybe he drank the Fauci Kool-Aid, right? But
I
then
think he did. Yeah,
but then you step back, right? And Fauci himself admitted it didn't work.
yeah,
Right? It was all ideology power trip move. That's all that rubbish, that poison they jammed in people was absolute garbage.
yeah.
Oh, what do we got here, man?
Oh yeah, this is another one. If you're watching, you seen this. This was a comment by Chris Jackson. I like to go back and forth with this guy. We like to send him stuff as he's putting out these posts. He says if you're keeping count and you see a picture of the, I'm guessing that's the Starship coming back to Earth.
Mm-hmm.
If you're keeping count, that's 4 Starship explosions out of 8 attempts, an impressive failure rate. And now, of course, our response is, of course, look at the many attempts Thomas Edison had before successfully creating his light bulb. Do you have any gasp of how effing hard the things that SpaceX is doing? And it's not. He has no idea how hard the things that they are
Dude,
doing are. And they're just looking for, they want people who don't understand the attempt failure process of how to learn, because you have to.
yeah.
You
So
have to.
let's look at NASA, right?
Yeah.
How many Saturn V rockets did they blow up before they finally figured stuff out?
A
And
bunch.
and then let's pause for a second, right? And guys, listen to me. What I'm getting ready to say, I mean absolutely zero disrespect. It's to drive a point home. What about the Challenger explosion?
Yeah.
Right. And again, I'm not trying to bring it into a political thing, but when you got people spouting garbage, hey man, what do you do, buddy? What's your claim to fame in life? Putting some garbage on X? And I got it. That's your right to do that. That's cool. And if you want to say, hey man, Musk is failing, richest man in the world. Yeah, he's failing. All right, buddy. Yeah. Um, love to grab his playbook. You know,
Yeah.
how are you running the business? But I, I don't know if it's just people have that much hatred towards him because he's that successful. I don't know, but hey, man, he had a drama. Okay, it happens. It happens. So what do you do? Hopefully, which I'm sure they will, they'll learn from it, and go from there. But
Yeah.
oh,
Well, there is an acceptable level of failure. There has to be. And the thing that they're struggling with right now is those rockets that are controlling the pitch and altitude or
mhm.
attitude once it gets up into space. And this is the second time it's happened. So that's what they're working on. And I am by no means a freaking rocket scientist, but I know that they don't want to crash those things. They want to learn
Yeah.
what's going on and what's happening and how can they fix it. And you
So
know what? You can do it on the ground and simulate it all you want in computers, but every now and then you got to throw one up there. You know what I mean?
yeah, well, let's put it back to our world from the firearm side.
Right?
If the wheels are never falling off, you're never pushing yourself.
Nope.
You're never gonna get better. Hello, McFly. That's anything. That's life 101. You're gonna sit there and fall. What do? Dust yourself off. You learn from it. You get your copy of the Firearms Training Notebook. Bam, there she blows, right? Go to your little note section for the viewers, listeners, you're missing out. Bam, go to that note section and write your notes down and learn from it. But I mean, to me, this is the greatest tool in the firearms industry because this tracks my progress. Is there failure in there? 100% there is. Do I got more notes than you can shake a stick at? I do. And then when I'm learning stuff, what am I doing? Writing in the notes section as well. You're always referring back to it. So to sit there and go, oh, he failed. Dude, how do you learn? So what was my man's name?
Oh, Chris Jackson.
Chris Jackson. Hey, so
Yeah.
Chris Jackson, you're probably secretly tuning in. Hey, man, give me some tidbits. How do I get better without failing? I'd love to have an answer.
Yeah. It's all about people trying to make people believe that Elon Musk does not know what he's doing. He's an idiot, blah, blah, blah. And nobody, but we talked about earlier in the show, nobody believes that.
No.
Nobody believes that.
No.
It's just crazy. But, I want to show this real quick too, before we get off the Canada, that freaking tax sheet. I don't know, if that's shocking to some people. It's shocking to me. But this is Jagmeet Sai. He's in the parliament up there in Canada.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when I read this, it says that because they're in emergency now and it's time, it's not a time for election. Dude, I don't know if that's allowed in parliament. Didn't they do some things like that in France as well? They had something going on during the pandemic or something. But
yeah, but
that would never happen here.
Here's the thing, man. Especially we'll use Canada, right? So Canada falls under the Commonwealth. Not sure how all that stuff works, right? So
I don't either.
Why would you? Here's the thing. Could you formulate an emergency to put a pause on having the elections? If that's the way if that's in your country's rules, dude, I would be in a constant state. If I was the PM, dude, we'd be in a constant state of emergency.
Sure.
That way I'd stay there.
Yeah.
So I'm just, it's bizarro world. That's the only thing I can say is common sense isn't common, unfortunately.
Well, they did it with handguns. Remember, it was a couple years ago. They were going to ban the sale of handguns for like 6 months or something like that.
Oh, they flat out.
And then I think they finally they scrubbed it. But that's my point. They don't have a Bill of Rights like we do, but they have to have something to govern this because this is not the first time this has been suggested. I guarantee it.
Yeah, but Again, I'm not savvy enough on the Commonwealth policies.
Yeah.
Right.
But you know who is savvy and smart is our listeners. And even
yeah.
those who are closet listeners, let us know. Let us
Yeah.
know if we're way off. Let
Yeah.
us know if we think going down this slope is slippery. Let us know why you don't think it is. I would love to hear it. And I think a lot of this came up, with Zelensky kind of doing the same thing. I mean, well, they're in war. Dude, Churchill, didn't he he got ousted a few years after the freaking thing. He was wildly popular.
Yeah.
People's opinions change. You got to have elections.
Yeah. He was, as they like to say, a wartime leader.
Yep.
I haven't heard that term with anyone before. Right. But we'll have to ask our crew members that are in the Commonwealth, see if they can't shed a little light. They might have a little better insight to how that piece works. But brother, it's at the end of the day, China's going to do what China does. Well, they're a communist country. Who cares? For the rest of the free world, give people the freedom to live their lives, to prosper. Don't be a hindrance. It's like when you take a step back or really take a look, we as Americans, what's our biggest roadblock, in my opinion? Federal government.
That's true about almost everything.
Dude, you want to talk about a constitutional crisis? Go back to the 16th, man. Why am I paying the federal government? And we've all known this, right? It's just the skirt's really been lifted, with Elon getting down there and looking at all the fraud, waste, and abuse. Dude, that is unacceptable. You owe it to the American people, your constituents, at whatever level of government you've been voted in at, that, hey, man, I'm going to do my due diligence. Mark, if you give me, I don't care if it's 50 cents, I'm going to do my due diligence to make sure, hey, I'm doing one of two things. I'm either holding on to the 50 cents and then hopefully I give you 75 or $1 back. Right. But man, if I sit there and go, Mark goes, hey, man, where's my money? Gone.
Yep.
Come on. I mean, it's just, but that's what it is. So I'm not sitting there funding all these garbage programs. Probably am, but the point being, is we should expect more out of it. And if your elected officials aren't doing what you want, hey man, change is coming. So, and don't be like that one chick that's talking about getting a GoFundMe for the assassin of Trump.
Oh, right? Yeah.
God, dude, here's the thing. There's some things that freedom of speech does not cover you on. The openness of an assassination on a sitting president. I'm sorry. Right? That, DOJ, freaking Pam Bondi, I know you're listening because you're on your lunch break. Swing in there and scoop them up.
Yeah.
I got the whole Trump administration tuning in right now. Go scoop her up.
Yeah. Yep. Proof. That's absolute proof.
Yeah.
Proof that Trump listens to On the Range podcast.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, a couple other things I want to talk about. One, not a little bit serious, one pretty funny. But the Supreme Court, I don't necessarily disagree with some of the dissenting arguments and stuff or agree with all the dissenting arguments, but the ones who voted to go ahead and allow that $2 billion to go out.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The problem I have is, how in the world is it their purview? They rule a couple weeks ago that, this is in his purview to do these things to, he's the executive. He can spend it the way he wants. Mm-hmm. And then they come back and say, you can't hold or you can't freeze that. It doesn't make any sense. I think this is a power grab by a couple of the justices, because for some reason they believe that they're the gatekeeper of all this stuff, when in fact they're just an equal piece of the 3-tier of government. Mm-hmm. And the president doesn't govern the Congress. The Congress doesn't govern the president.
No.
They make the law. Why does the Justice Department or justice system think that they have the same to do on a job that is outlined specifically
Mhm.
with the executive branch? I don't understand that, especially at the circuit level.
Brother, again, bizarro world. Proof in itself, the justice system is broken because, you know, this one here is a little more split, but it was, there for a while. We were a classic 6'3", 6'3", 6'3". Really? You're 6'3" on everything? You're supposed to be blind, right? Take the facts and go with them. And anytime I see a 6'3", dude, I'm like, yeah, I don't think so.
Well, and not only that, they were unanimous in saying that he was allowed to do some of the things he was doing, and now he can't do this. In the same construct as what the other appeal was, or the I guess they call it a temporary restraining order or something like that. They wanted to they wanted to open up the freeze that he put on it, the executive order. That's an executive order.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
But see, here's the thing. The only place the justices should be coming in at that point is it within his constitutional right for that? Yes.
Well, they said it. They said it was. That's what's crazy.
That's my point, Mark, right? But then you want to turn around and it's almost like a power grab. So the whole point with the 3-tiered system, it's a checks and balance, right? But it's not. The system is broke. I mean, God bless our founding fathers are doing cheetah flips going, what are you people doing, man? We gave you the document in case you, my little lunchtime reading, bam. Right? Dude, I always,
100.
and I'm always kind of just thumbing through and reading stuff like that. But my point is, if you don't know what the Constitution of the United States is telling us, the people, we the people, brother, you can just sit back and go, well, yeah, okay. Well, that's what they said. No, it's wrong. But we're going to shift gears, man. We got some Jesse Waters up. I love me some Jesse Waters. So, and of course, I saw Hunter's face. So this ought to be good.
Yeah, this is a great story. And I got some ideas about how we can help old Hunter out. But again, this is from Jesse Waters' page on our X feed. And let's go ahead and let's listen to this a little bit. Jesse does a real good job. I like him.
Hunter Biden's officially broke. He just asked a judge to toss a laptop lawsuit because he's millions in debt and can't afford his lawyers. Hunter says it's hard for him to make a living. That's strange. An Ivy League educated lawyer and energy expert with international business experience can't find a steady job in the new golden age. Even though he's the smartest guy Joe Biden knows. Hunter sold 27 pieces of art totaling over $1 million before 2023. But then his dad dropped out and he only sold one. Nobody's buying the paintings now that daddy's back in Delaware.
Well, they're buying it because, he's the big guy. Now he's not the big guy anymore, so they're not buying it. I haven't seen any of his artwork. Have you seen any of it?
I have not, but he's got to be an accomplished artist if he's, sold $1 million.
Yeah.
Dude, you have some people that are, street artists. They would give anything for $1 million in sales.
Yeah. We have to look up some of his art pieces, but I think this is funny. But he said he's having a hard time finding a job. Why don't you think, we all know my man likes to get after it, right?
Okay.
He likes to get at, why doesn't he sell his celebrity and go to some of these big parties or something and show these young guys how to do it?
Well, dude, here's one, right? Just like you said, Ivy League educated attorney, international business ties. Dude, if that's not an online education,
good resume, yeah.
I don't know what is. Dude, start up your own online business. Sell some coaching stuff. You'll make a killing.
Dude, he should become a content creator and just get after it. Dude, what image are you going to protect at this point?
Well, it has nothing to do. Well, probably with, I would say with the crack pipe in his mouth, but that's already been out there, so that don't matter. Or maybe dragging some hooker down. Oh no, that's already been. Yeah, I don't know. He's got nothing to hide, dude.
Dude, he likes to get after it, doesn't he?
Dude. God bless me.
Oh man, yeah, he likes to get after it.
I think if he was smart, he'd reach out to Ray-Ban and get a dope deal with them.
Yeah, if anybody has any comments on what kind of product you think he could move, now keep it clean, keep it clean. But what kind of product you think he move that people would want to get? I bet you he could sell some stuff.
Oh, people, yeah. But like you said, I'd love to see his artwork. We're gonna have to post that. We're gonna have to see if we can find some of his artwork. 'Cause, man, it's got to be good at those prices. It's got to be good,
Dude, if anybody should do a podcast, it's him. Look, he did write a book.
Mhm.
Why doesn't he do a podcast and just talk about his exploits, man? Just tell the craziest stories.
Oh God. Well, he might not remember. I'm not super savvy with crack, what that does to your recollection of events. Hey, I started the night with the crack pipe in my mouth, and then I wound
Next
up
thing I know, I wake up in Reno,
surrounded
And
by four
that's
hookers,
800 miles away.
surrounded by 4 hookers, and can't find my clothes or my laptop.
Oh,
Damnedest-
God.
Damnedest thing.
Wow. That would be great.
Oh, dude.
Because, I mean, honestly, if I'm sure his book probably isn't selling crap anymore. If his paintings aren't selling, his book's probably not selling anymore. And, if you're not telling any stories like that, then probably no one's going to be interested. But you can tell those stories.
Mhm. Dude,
I know that, Gavin Newsom's got his own podcast. Why can't Hunter Biden have a podcast?
Yeah. And let's think about it. He's not going to incriminate himself. Dude, I smoked all the crack I wanted to. You got a pardon?
He's got a pardon from the last 10 years that he probably can't remember. I mean,
No.
that's probably why they did it. They probably, the big guy's probably like, hey man, let's give you a little buffer here because you don't remember any of these things. Let's give you a little space there. 10 years.
Yeah.
Or 14 years, whatever it was.
But the problem is if you get him on air, and let's say he takes a little bump, right?
Dude, that guy's not taking a little of anything, you know what I'm saying?
Work with me here, bud, right? Or maybe he's back to hitting the pipe. I don't know what he's doing.
Oh man.
And maybe let some family secrets out. Right? I wouldn't have personally.
That's a good point.
Knowing how much of a train wreck he is, for us, yeah, we'd love to hear the stories because God knows what would come out of his mouth. Yeah, man, them Chinese guys, they were buying my art up left and right. Interesting, right? Or them Ukrainians were taking the money we were giving them, putting it in my pocket for my art. Shocking, right?
Dude, you remember that video of him coming back out on the balcony after he and he's probably he's probably thinking, man, this party's lame. Where's the girls at?
Dude.
Oh man.
Yeah.
I can't feel bad for the guy. I mean,
No.
he is, but dude, I mean, like you said, where's the money? Where's the money? Are you think they're afraid to move any money around because Doge is out there and
yeah, but it's got to be somewhere, right? Unless that stuff is all offshore. But then how you pulling from it, right? There's at the end of the day, you start doing electronic wires over 10K, you're throwing up flags. So I don't know. I don't know what they're doing. Are they making a trip down to the Caymans and going, hey man, throw me a suitcase of cash and rolling out? But how do you burn through? I mean, just think about it for a minute. Again, millionaire. How'd you burn through all your cash?
Well, dude, he probably, he was probably, flying on the government dime for, the last, 30 years. And he's probably got multiple places. He probably doesn't own any of them. He's probably just paying out rent and they're probably tens of thousands of dollars a month.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it probably just goes quickly, but like you said, man, there's no cash. There's no, you can trim down your stuff. The house he was renting, didn't it burn down? One of the houses?
Yeah, the one out in Malibu. I think it was it Malibu? Somewhere out around there. That was like $50K a month.
Yeah. And I'm sure that's not the only house he's got because he lives up in the Northeast all the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But hey man, whether you got the fancy car or whatever, could you not, sell some of that stuff off? Could you not get a buffer? Could you not have a lifestyle change?
Dude, he needs to sell that celebrity and go do some events or something. I think people would probably think that would be a blast.
That'd be a blast, but I guarantee everyone's saying, shut your mouth.
Yeah.
Because you don't know what's going to come out. That's a risky endeavor.
Yeah.
If he was my train wreck, I'd be like, shut your mouth. Well,
Well-
Uncle Joe can't even think that far, but anyway.
Yeah. Dude, I think Jill's going to cut him off, man. As soon as the big guy leaves us, he's done. He's not going to have nothing.
No.
He'll just burn through it.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
Well, you know how we are here, man. We hope nothing but the best for everybody.
100%, man.
Nothing but the best. Yeah.
Man,
Even Howard Stern. I want nothing but the best for Howard Stern.
Brother, here's the thing. We can agree to disagree. That's the greatness of this country. That's the beauty. We've got that freedom to express what we want, as long as it's not on a meta platform. Sorry. Had
Oh,
you know,
oops. Ooh.
yeah. Way to go, Zuck, you anti-American savage. Maybe you and Howard can go, I don't know, somewhere.
Mhm.
But no, dude, I want the best for everybody.
Yeah.
I don't care if you disagree with me. Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you want to see people prosper in this country? Because if one prospers, then two prospers, three, dude, it's a trickle down effect. And when people are prospering, we live in a better country.
Oh yeah.
It's that easy, man.
Yeah, rising tide lifts all boats.
Dude, that's
for sure.
That's it. So
speaking of that, I hope everybody enjoyed and had a little break with the Friday live lunch break conversation with On the Range podcast. Make sure if you're listening to this or if you're watching this is going to be on audio as well if you couldn't catch the whole thing. But if you're listening to this, make sure you go check out the video. A lot of good stuff from our X page, On the Range Cast. But you can catch it there at On the Range Cast or at On the Range Podcast on YouTube and Facebook. And be sure you swing by warhog.com, kellydefense.com, like, subscribe, comment. It absolutely for sure helps us out. Now, there will be some bonus content, but maybe not after this show. We may have to do something a little different since this is live. But if you like this content and you're interested in getting exclusive stuff, go to ontherangepodcast.com and join the crew. Become a member of the crew and join like-minded individuals, international group. A lot of fun and get a bunch of exclusive content you can join right there from the website.
Guys, have a great weekend. And as always, train hard, stay safe, and we'll see you on the range.